Welcome to Nostalgia, the pop culture podcast where we have deep conversations about superficial things. I'm your host, Nicole Tremaglio, and each week my guests and I deep dive on the parts of pop culture that made them who they are today. If you like the show, please follow, rate, and review on your platform of choice. Watch us on YouTube and Spotify, and subscribe to our super fun newsletter at nostalgia.substack.com. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Nostalgia. I'm excited to have Tiffany here with me today from Nosta Beauty. And yeah, she has this makeup company that focuses on all kind of nostalgic and retro looks. And so we're going to talk about how nostalgia has just inspired you professionally, of course, but personally as well. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, nostalgia has always been something that was just really sentimental for me. Growing up, I had all these VHS tapes that my parents just hoarded of my childhood, and I even remember being 12 years old and just like being in awe of like capturing those moments that I even forgot about, obviously, when I was even younger. And so just like remembering the good times and just like special moments that just like made a difference in my life, like, you know, just like birthdays and stuff like that, just like always meant so much to me. And so I remember being that young, not knowing what nostalgia was, but I remembered that feeling. And so growing up, I was just like really, you know, into collecting, you know, CDs and VHS tapes and just like things like that, that I didn't even know back then that would be my nostalgia right now. So I became a makeup artist. I'm a second generation makeup artist. My mom's a makeup artist. So that's kind of where I got my love for makeup. And so I used to assist her since I was really young, like 15, I want to say. And I remember this one time she got double booked on a job. And her agent was like, listen, we can't like let this go, like you have to figure it out. So she asked me to go, and I was probably 16 at the time, and it was to do grooming for Michael Bolton. And I was just like, what? He was like, are you like a professional, like how long have you been doing this for? I'm like, oh, years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
in sweat. I'm like, oh my god, this is like my first legit job. So that was exciting. He's a sweetheart. But yeah, I was just, you know, freelancing. And then I saw a job. Actually, Steve sent me a job to do product development. And I was like, oh, you know, let me just give it a shot. You know, I have no, you know, experience with being a product developer, but I know I know makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave it a go. I got the job, and then I became a product developer at another brand, and I was there for about 3 years, got my experience, and then I just outgrew the space. And so I quit, and then I just felt really lost, not sure what to do, go back to freelancing. It was just like a really fuzzy time. It was like in 2018, 2019. And I took a leap of faith. Steve was like, listen, you know, I really believe in you. I think that we could do something really special. And this was pre-kids. I have a baby girl now. And so I was like, you know what, fine, let's do it. So we thought about what really gave us happiness and what would be different coming into the really saturated beauty industry, what was not done. And so we thought really long and hard about this, and we were like, oh, nostalgia. Like there's no brand out there that was mainly focused on creating nostalgic products with really good quality makeup. There are some brands, especially now, like nostalgia is like such a hot thing right now that
Mm-hmm.
back then I had no idea it was going to be this big of a commotion, you know? And so we thought about it, and Nostalgia came about. And so we cut the name in half, called it Nosta Beauty. A lot of people say, you know, Nosta, Nosta. I say it's tomato, tomato, like it doesn't matter. And so we came into the space with the first ever VHS themed makeup palette, and I mixed all the shades myself. So I basically merged my love for makeup and nostalgia, and I just like mixed it all together and threw it out into the world. And it's been a journey. But yeah, this is our first baby.
Yeah.
And then 3 months into launching, I get pregnant. So that's been really eventful. So it's been a whirlwind, but in the best way ever. And then through my pregnancy, I developed the CD palette. And so a lot of people ask me, why is it talc free? Why is it, you know, doesn't have certain ingredients? It was because mainly the fact that I was pregnant and I was super sensitive to everything at the time. And I was like, you know what, if I could make a really, really good talc-free formula, then let's just do that too. So not only is it cute, but it's sensitive skin friendly. I have eczema, so yeah, we're just here to spark everyone's nostalgia in a happy way.
Yeah, I think it was so interesting how right at the beginning you brought up how you have so many amazing memories that were captured on home video. And I love watching old home videos, and yeah, it gets to this point where you're like, wait a second, did I remember that firsthand because I was
Right.
so young? Or am I actually just remembering things from the tape because I've seen the tape so many times?
Yeah.
And what I find so precious about these, especially, is that they captured, yes, milestone moments like, okay, you're taking your first steps or you have whatever birthday party, but it really captured the mundane aspects of day-to-day life as well. Like if you were at a birthday party, it wouldn't just be you blowing out the candles. It would be the entire birthday party for 2 or 3 hours and
Yeah.
just somebody walking around with the camera.
Yeah.
And yeah, with birthday parties, I think it's so interesting because now the way that we kind of look at these events is through the lens of social media as opposed to a tape that no one except for maybe your family members would see. And so I really love having those memories on tape. I'm really glad that they were filmed. I always felt present during those moments, but that's because the world was a different place then. So I'm curious on your take now that you have a kid. How do you feel like that relationship between like still capturing moments for them versus like the performative nature of social media, how you kind of balance that like in today's age?
Yeah, I mean, I film everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, when she's having a tantrum, when she's crying. I'm sure other parents do too, but none of that is shown on social media. You know, through our VHS tapes, I realized they filmed everything. Like nothing was off limits. Family drama, you know, our aunts and uncles fighting, like that was all filmed. And so I think the biggest difference from now and then is just like the squeaky clean, like they only show the really happy things on social media, but they leave out all of the really, like, I think funny and monumental things, and just like, I don't know, just like moments that you would want to look back at later, you know, but they don't show that on social media at all, you know. So I like to film everything. I mean, I film her every single day. I don't post her at all, but she's definitely a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And I just like, I film everything, and I cannot wait to show it to her when she's a little bit older. It's definitely going to be better quality video, I'll say that. But yeah, I'm just so excited to just show her everything when she's a little older.
Yeah, even like the beginning of the nostalgia theme song, the very, very beginning, if
I know,
anyone
I love it.
watches, thank you. If
I love
anybody
it.
watches it on YouTube, you can actually see that it starts with a home video of me from when I was maybe like 4 years old. And I'm like, we're gonna start now. Because
I
I
love
was
that.
always putting on a performance, always
Yeah.
putting on a show, standing up on the the fireplace because that was, my little elevated stage. And I'm so happy that I have, all of that singing the random songs
Yeah.
that I learned at school or whatever. It's really great in the fact that you could just do it because that was your life and it wasn't made for the intention to package it
Right.
and distribute it. I think that's added a really interesting dynamic for kids today.
Yeah, I mean, even back then, my mom filmed, well, my father filmed everything. But they actually caught me dancing to Madonna. And that's kind of like a full circle moment for me with the brand, is because the shade Stop in the VHS palette is literally inspired by Madonna. So it's a crazy full circle for me. I actually posted that part on, I think, on either TikTok or Instagram or both, of me dancing to Madonna. And my mom's like, yeah, I get it, get it. And then I was like, I'm going to be a Madonna one day. And she's like, go get it, kid. Like, you got this. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just very full circle. I was heavily, heavily inspired by music and films and everything, really, because of my parents. Just like, having that in the background. Sting was always playing, the Gypsy Kings, George Michael, like all of these amazing, amazing singers were always on in my house. And so I think that growing up in that environment really, molded me into the person I am today and why I am so affected by nostalgia.
Yeah, I was raised on classic rock from my parents, and when I was about 7 years old, that is when Titanic came out, and that was the peak of the Spice Girls. And so Celine Dion and Spice Girls have always been the two, and Mariah Carey have been, I guess we'll say, the three biggest influences on me in terms of it was the first time I was discovering my own music, my own interests, and developing tastes for the first time. And so I remember there was this record store called Strawberries, and that is where I got my first cassette tape was Spice World, and then my first CD was Music Box by Mariah Carey. I'm curious if you remember your first cassette tape, your first CD that you got that was like your music.
I don't remember my first cassette. It must have been like a Disney sing-along type of spiel, but my first CD was definitely the Britney one. I remember being in my room, and it must have been my birthday or something like that. I'm not sure, but my mom just like hands it over to me, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And this is like when Britney just came out, and everyone was obsessed with her, like doing her dances and all of that. Like that's what they did in my school. And I was just listening to that CD. I can't even tell you how many times. I was just so in love. And I was like, yeah, I love this. Like, this is my jam.
Yeah, I've been going through a physical media renaissance where I've been thrifting old CDs that had particular significance or meaning to me. And I went to a craft fair last winter, New England's largest craft fair, and I'm reaching over right now to grab one of the things that I got. So there was this vendor who would take old CDs and put cork backing on them to make them into coasters. So I'm holding up, I have Britney Spears' first CD, and I just like use it as a coaster for my coffee. So I still want to get the actual CD in a jewel case because I think at this point, it is the only Britney Spears CD like up to Circus that I don't have the physical copy of. I just recently got In the Zone and just like played it in the car, and I'm like, this is great. Like this is so just great.
It's so good. Yeah. I much I think all millennials are like this, or every generation is like this, but I much prefer the music I grew up with than music like now.
Everyone says that, and they say, oh, you stop listening to new music by the time you reach a certain age, like in your 30s, and that everyone is always associating their formative memories with their coming of age years. That just makes, I'm like, wow, it's like literally science.
Yeah, yeah.
And now millennials are old enough to see the completion of a trend cycle for the first time. So it's like we are now seeing things the second time around. And so to see the cycle go around again and again is really cool. What is something that you think will come back in the future?
I could definitely say that I think concealer lips are going to be coming back. I think everyone hates them right now. Watch, in a couple of years, maybe even sooner, they're going to be back. Full force.
What were some of the 90s and 2000s makeup trends that you participated in?
Oh, glitter everything.
Yeah.
Glitter everything. I was filled with glitter. Yeah, I'm obsessed with glitter.
The Bed Bath and Body Works glitter, I definitely was allergic to something in it. So before middle school dance, I would always roll some on myself and then kind of like break out into hives a little bit. And I'm like, I just want to be glittery. Like, that's it.
Well, that's kind of like what also inspired me creating the brand is like I'm creating a nostalgic feel, but with a modern twist. So like we're not gonna have those hives, we're not gonna feel like we're putting poison on ourselves. Like it's gonna be a little bit cleaner, a little bit more modern with a twist, more inclusive, and just have that same feel, but better.
You know what makeup thing I thought about once I saw a TikTok about it? How back in the day, let's say, okay, you got a little like CoverGirl eyeshadow. We would use the little brushes with the foam ends that just came in the package, whereas now makeup brushes are an entire product category that didn't exist back then. We would be using these tiny little foam things, and I thought that was so funny because I never thought about it until I saw a video about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was a little different for me because I've seen my mom cleaning her 1,000 makeup brushes.
You had the professional access, yes.
I used to steal all of her makeup, her PR, like I was bad. But yeah, I mean, she would never give me anything that was like professional or anything like that. She would just give me like those sponges also. If I wanted to play with makeup, I would have to just use that tiny little thing and just make it work.
Yeah, I really loved when I was in high school, the Maybelline Great Lash Mascara, but in blue.
Yeah.
And so I always would wear blue mascara, and that was like my quirky little thing that I loved. Let's see. Always Juicy Tubes. I actually have one currently, but it is new because they are still in production and they still sell them. One time someone thought that because, you see TikToks where people have actually saved, I was going to say preserved, but like you can't preserve a 20-year-old lip gloss because the ingredients do expire. But because I never saved anything like that. I don't have anything that's old because at the time I thought it's old, like you throw it away if you put it on your eyeball or something like that. That's not good. But yeah, someone's like, oh my god, you have an old Juicy Tube. I'm like, no, I have a new Juicy Tube. And my other favorite in high school was called Lip Venom, and it was this that little lip gloss that it was basically like Kylie's lip plumper thing before that happened. They walked so Kylie could run.
Yeah, basically, 100%. Yeah. I remember. What do I remember? I remember doing like, so of course I would steal my mother's makeup all the time, and she had like this blue little Cargo. I don't know if you know Cargo, the brand, but I think they're still around. And they had like this royal blue eyeshadow, and that was like my go-to. I would literally just make a line of blue. I also remember all the girls in my school wore like a black eyeliner and then topped it with a white. Did you ever do that? I think that was like the epitome of like my Y2K years in high school. It was just like that black eyeliner with mascara, and then they topped it with another white eyeliner. It was so pretty.
I remember just doing white eyeliner and like cheerleading white eyeliner on the cheerleading team. That was like so cool.
Yeah.
And I always had a lot of difficulty with eyeliner especially with liquid liner. Now I absolutely love liquid liner and I wear it every day because I love it so much. But when I was learning how to do makeup, I guess when I was younger, I would always get it in my eye. And I'm like, this is so painful. I can never wear liquid liner. And, you know, you practice, you learn.
Yeah, I mean, even like looking back, my mom, if she was here right now, she'd be like cringing, but I would douse myself in orangey bronzer that was like literally meant for the body to give you that glow. It was all over my face, and I stopped here. So I was like white and orange.
There was a big self tanner epidemic in the 2000s. I remember being in middle school and like, you know, the first girls who discover self tanner when they're 12 years old and it looks really, really bad. And then also in the 2000s with everybody being obsessed with tanning and I was a lot of different shades of orange and really never blended in at the jawline either. When you see TikToks about that now, I'm like, I hate to say that this is accurate, but like, you know, I think at that age too, people are just trying to fit in and they're trying to be like, okay, what is everybody at school doing? Or like, I mean, I guess maybe now people are like, what is somebody on TikTok doing? Or like, you know, I want to look I think too with the whole like Hollister explosion, people were like, oh, the California like golden suntan, very all-American kind of look, and it was obviously not executed very well.
Like even like Laguna Beach, like everyone saw like bronze skin. You know, like when Paris Hilton was like fully bronze, I was like, hell yeah, like I want to look like that, but not realizing that just doing my face isn't going to get me that look, let alone it being like shimmery.
I do think that to an extent, people have come a longer way and being like, you know what, now I can wear makeup where it maybe match, you know, my skin and my neck match a little bit more, and that I dress in colors that make me feel really happy as opposed to, oh, I'm just wearing this because somebody else is. You find your own tastes and your own style in clothes, in hair, in jewelry, in makeup. And I think all of those different little things can help you like express and really celebrate what makes you you. And so I want to ask you, let's say you're putting together your makeup look and you're like, okay, this is the Tiffany. What does that look like? What colors, what products?
Yeah. So the Tiffany look is a little bit different now because I am a mom, so I'm like ready in 5 minutes, but I don't take away like color just because I don't have enough time. So today, for instance, like my go-to is like a red blush because it just makes me look alive again, and then just like a glossy lip, and then I always need to wear mascara. I actually didn't even curl my lashes yet because I'm going to film a little bit later, but I really just love mixing and playing with colors and just having like fresh skin. I think that's like my go-to. Yeah. Or I'll wear very fresh skin, no eye makeup, and then just like a bold lip. So I just like to play with different textures at the end of the day and also different colors. But I don't necessarily like follow trends, even though they might look trendy. Like this, I guess, could look like the strawberry look that everyone's talking about now, but I don't see it that way. Even though like it is cute, like to call it a strawberry look, like I don't know.
Yeah, I think now with the internet too, with like the collapse of trends where like everything's just like the trend cycle has just become so hyper that it like completely folded in on itself. And so now in the age of algorithms and search mechanisms, like you need to put a name to everything so that it can be easily indexed, searched, and found on the internet, not because like we need to be calling things strawberry or whatever. But yeah, I think it's amazing that like also you recognize that when your life circumstances change or your schedule or your like whatever the case may be, like you find something that works for you as opposed to the other way around. So, okay, let's say you were going to do a makeup look for someone or yourself and you had to use one makeup product from the 90s or 2000s, or maybe even 2010s, because I was a huge naked 2 palette person.
I still have it. Literally, I'm like never giving that up.
I love it so much. If you were gonna do a look using one, quote, old product, what's like that tried and true?
I mean, you can't go wrong with the naked palettes. Like, that's for sure. So, I don't know if you remember, Revlon had like this whipped foundation, and it was so bomb. Like, everyone's talking about the other one. This foundation was like my baby. Like, I wore the crap out of that. It's discontinued now, but it was the most amazing foundation. It was like lightweight, glowy, it just full coverage. It was just amazing. I also love telescopic, or like the falsies. Do you remember that mascara? It was so good. I think they still make it. That was amazing. So I would do that. I would do maybe Juicy Tubes, or some like an eyeshadow from MAC, and that I would like call it a day. I also never used to do my eyebrows up until like my 20s, and it was just like full beat and no filling in the brows. I think that was also like something to be said about those times. Now it's like brows are everything, but back then my eyebrows were so thin. Like,
Yeah. Well, I grew up with really thick eyebrows, and then I got made fun of them in school,
yeah, same.
made fun of for them in school. So then I
Yeah.
took Sally Henson cream, which you are not supposed to put on your eyebrows or anywhere near your eyes. It was for like upper lip, or,
Like
your
near.
arm or your leg, or And I put it on my eyebrows,
No.
and then my eyebrows were like mostly gone. Luckily, this was Christina stripped era, and so people had no eyebrows back then, so it worked. And I did not get made fun of anymore. My eyebrows grew in a little bit again when I was in high school, and I would still get them waxed, and now I'll just like pluck them here or there, because they've
same.
been, now I have pretty thin eyebrows, and they've just stayed this way since. They don't really grow back anymore, and my mom always warned me that that might happen. I never believed her, because I'm like, no, I have the thickest eyebrows ever.
Yeah.
And now I'm like a little too traumatized to fill them in. I'm like, no, I learned my lesson. I have to stop messing with my eyebrows. But like, it is a part of, it's a part of the look now.
Yeah, totally. But going back to Nair, I actually Naired my face one time. Yeah, I wanted to get rid of like my peach fuzz. And so I was like, great, that's a great idea. Let me just do that, because I heard shaving would make it come back thicker. So I was like, okay, let me just go into the bathroom, Nair my entire face. When I tell you, I broke out like I've never broken out in my life. I had monsters on my face. It was
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I learned my lesson real quick with that.
Yeah. PSA to anyone listening: don't
Nair your face.
Don't Nair your face. Don't put any hair removal stuff on your face. See a professional immediately.
Take it from us. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay, one last question for you. If you could pick up to 5 celebrities where, if they were going on tour or to an award show or to a movie premiere, who's the celebrity's makeup that you would want to do? Past or present?
Oh, for sure Christina, Britney, Destiny's Child. I know Beyonce's on tour now, but all of them I would love to do that. Jennifer Lopez, Spice Girls. Those would be like my top. Like if I were to ever do their makeup, I think I would just like collapse. Like,
Yeah. That's amazing. There's actually a girl who I follow. Her name's Sophia, and she looks exactly like Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
And she
I
does.
follow her too. Yeah.
Yeah, she does her looks, and the one that she did from Diddy's "Tell Me" music video, when she did the transition, I
That gave me
fell on the
chills.
floor. Yeah, I collapsed.
Oh my God. Yeah. If I could ever do her makeup, that would be right? Oh my God, that would be amazing. She's awesome. Like, she looks 1-to-1. Like, crazy.
Copy paste. Thank you so, so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks again. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye. That's a wrap for this week. If you like Nixtalgia, connect with me on social at Nicole Tremaglio, subscribe to the Nixtalgia newsletter at nixtalgia.substack.com, and follow, rate, and review on your platform of choice. Everything's linked in the show notes, including where to find out more about our guest of the week. Thank you so, so much for your support, and that was this week's episode of Nixtalgia.